And good morning. Hi, happy Friday. Here I am in my proverbial home office. And as we launch into the weekend, I wanted to make the case for something I've been working on for the past few months, something that will reach its conclusion, or at least this round of its conclusion, 2 weeks from today. So, Phonation, a Chicago podcast compilation, is something I've been working on with a couple friends, Giorgio and Zach. It is a Kickstarter project, which means it's totally crowdfunded, which means if we don't hit our goal, nothing gets funded and the project doesn't happen. Phonation, a Chicago podcast compilation, is a compilation of 10 different Chicago area podcasts pressed onto vinyl. I think it's a really cool idea. I'm a little subjective on this one, but the idea of pressing podcasts to vinyl, I find very appealing. Podcasts, of course, such a digital forward concept. Vinyl, analog, I just thought it'd be really cool. I remember listening to comedy records growing up and radio compilations. This is along those lines. So Phonation will include 10 different podcasts, and I wanted to kind of run through who we're talking about here. Lifers is one of the participating podcasts. Lifers is a Local H podcast hosted by Scott Lucas of Local H, also Ben Reiser and Gabe. And they have different guests every week. It's a really fantastic interview show. I just guested on it a few nights ago. They do great interviews. They talk about deep, fascinating movie and music topics. Lifers is one of the 10. Also, If the Walls Could Talk, who doesn't love a good true crime podcast? If the Walls Could Talk is about Edgewater Hospital, where I was born. It is a serialized exploration of all the misdeeds and crimes and just bad things that went on in the operation of Edgewater Hospital. That's one of the 10. Also, The Friendly Atheist. Hemant and Jessica do such a good job on this one. They're pushing about 400 episodes at this point. It's a very literate, funny, topical, and engaging podcast. I love that. Friendly Atheist is part of this. Podcast I've loved for years, Contest of Challengers. This is a business podcast. Now, it's a business podcast run by Patrick Brower and W. Del Bush, who run Challengers Comics in Bucktown over on Western Avenue by Armitage. When you hear comic books and podcasts, perhaps you're a little concerned that it's just long form explorations of the Marvel and DC universes. That's not it at all. This is a true, transparent business podcast about the trials, tribulations, the challenges of operating a small mom and pop brick and mortar business. I've found it engaging from the get-go, super insightful, lots of lessons, be they accidental or not, that I think a lot of us can take into our own business practices. So Contest of Challengers will be on Phonation should it get funded. Southside Pod, got to represent the Southside. Really fantastic job being done on this one. It's about Southside dining, entertainment, and culture. Also, Windy City Double Feature, a discussion of double features from Chicago theaters in the distant past. Frequent Car Con Carne contributor Mike Vanderbilt is part of that. And Think 180, I just did a Car Con Carne episode with Chris of Inc. 180 a couple nights ago. Think 180 is a fascinating human interest podcast. So long story short, Chris is a tattoo artist, and he spends the majority of his time working on his nonprofit business, which is removing and covering up tattoos of human trafficking victims and people, former gang members looking to get out of the life. Riveting stuff. He chronicles everything he does, the work he does. He's truly a force for good. So Think 180 will be one of the 10 podcasts pressed onto vinyl for Phonation. So that's 7. I left 3 up for grabs. So that's the 7 we've announced so far. And one of the goals in putting together this compilation was to not have a lot of duplication, similarly themed podcasts, which is why the only music related podcast is the Local H podcast, Lifers. Car Con Carne is not part of this. I thought that'd be kind of weird. So it's 10 different podcasts. Again, we've got true crime, we've got human interest, we've got the South Side, we've got business, a whole lot going on. And the Kickstarter as it stands, as I'm doing this live video on Friday morning, Friday, June 11th, has 77 backers. Now, I know that I know more than 77 people. And I know also that times have been tough. We're emerging from just a shit show 14, 15 months, and money can be tight for people. So with that, I would say any amount is helpful. Any amount gets us closer to our goal. But if you can't spare $5 or $10, help spread the word. Share the page. In fact, I will share the page so you can see what we're talking about here. Bear with me 1 second. Here we go. So this is what it looks like on Kickstarter. We are 20% to goal, still 100% doable. I have no doubt. It is kind of stressful when I look at the Kickstarter and think, oh shit, we're not even at $4,000. We can do this. I mean, in fact, if all my Facebook friends kicked in $5 today, we'd be fully funded today and talking about all the stretch goals, parties, new editions of vinyl, all sorts of stuff. So this is what it looks like. There's another video that explains everything. Here's a text explanation. But if you're new to Kickstarter or crowdfunding, these projects work on rewards. So when you pledge money, you get something in return. You are contributing to the project and you have an ownership stake, so to speak. So you could pledge for no reward, just for the feel good vibes of being part of this. But as you scroll down, you can see different things you can have access to. A couple people for a mere $5 just wanted to be mentioned on social media. Okay, cool. I wrote a book 10 years ago. My God, the station went away 10 years ago next month. I wrote an oral history of the radio station Q101. I have some copies left for, I think, a relatively low price. You can get a copy of that if you contribute. Don't Break Records will be the record company publishing the Phonation, this vinyl compilation. You can pledge to get a turntable slip mat, a t-shirt, a Phonation t-shirt. I mean, look at this logo. I love this. I love the Illuminati thing going on there. Zach Spangler designed that. Own the Record. This is the one really I would recommend you zero in on. This is going to be a cool collectible. We're only doing this on vinyl. It won't be on cassette. We're not going to put the compilation online. This is how you get Phonation. So if you pledge 35 or more, you're guaranteed a copy. I think it's going to be super cool and something you're going to want to A, listen to, B, just have in your collection, have on your shelf. Because this is a compilation highlighting podcasts, there will be a podcast once this gets funded. It'll be the Phonation podcast, interviewing the different contributors, podcast contributors along the way, and talking about what's up, the challenges and the things we're going through to get this from concept into your hands. Going back to what I was saying about Contest of Challengers, I find that behind the scenes content really interesting. The discussions of making a business into a thing, dealing with the public, hitting goals and deadlines. There will be a podcast. Once this gets funded, the podcast will go live immediately. I've been podcasting since 2005, 2006. I've learned some things along the way. I'm by no means an expert. I don't think anyone really is an expert on podcasting, but I'd like to share what I do know with someone who is interested in podcasting, maybe someone who has a fledgling podcast. I'm offering a podcast consultant package where I'll jump on a call with you. We'll figure things out. We'll ideate. We'll strategize. I'd love to help with that. A record and a t-shirt. This is a cool thing to get. You get a copy of the album. You get a t-shirt. I swear to God, over the past 14 months during the pandemic, I've lived in band and product t-shirts. It's a great thing. So you can have your very own Phonation t-shirt. I didn't want to ignore the fact that some retailers may want to carry Phonation when it gets funded and printed and pressed. So this is for brick and mortar retailers, whether it's a record store or just a local independent shop. This tier includes, 5 copies of Phonation, and this is for retailers only. I want to make sure that if someone wants to carry it, they can. If you want to get your name on the album, on the jacket, thank you credit is $95, and it includes your copy of the album. Associate producer, that gets you pretty high up on that album jacket, and it also includes a copy of the album. Exploiting my own podcast. If you want to be featured as a guest, if you want to hang out at a restaurant and talk about whatever it is your project is, you could be a featured guest. And 2 of those remain. If you are looking to spread your message, if you're a company, if you own a product, you can add your logo to the jacket. We're going to whore this out. We're going to NASCAR it. 3 rewards at that level are available. If you want to sponsor Car Con Carne, you can sponsor it, and you also get a copy of the record. And if you are just someone with ridiculously deep pockets, you can executive produce the album. Have your name front and center above mine, above Zach's, above Giorgio's on the record jacket. You could be the executive producer. You can be there when we listen to the test pressing at the pressing facility. You'll get 10 copies of the album. This is obviously for someone with just money to burn, a lot of fuck you money. If that's you, you should be the executive producer. So I'm making the case. I really, once every 10 years or so, I have an idea where I think, oh my God, this is my favorite thing. I love this. I really believe in this. I really believe in this. I think here's the deal. If this doesn't happen, someone else is going to do it. It's not a question of if. I really think that this is something people will want. I hope it's something you will want. And again, no contribution, no pledge is too low. 77 backers doesn't seem like an awful lot to me. I would love your participation. I would love your help. I would love for you to hear this. I would love for you to be plugged in to what's happening locally with podcasts, because there's so much great stuff. So thank you for watching. Please go to Kickstarter. Just search Phonation, PHO Nation on Kickstarter. And I would love your help. Thank you for watching. I hope you have an amazing weekend. I'm going to turn this off now.